Hello, good morning, everyone. And for those who are watching us live, do join us in this conversation as this is not just about me and Raj having and enjoying this leadership conversation, but also do join us with your comments, questions, and all. So for today, good morning, everyone. And it's nice to be back in Singapore. And for those who are like in a different time zone, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are or wherever you are watching from. And for those who are new here, my name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS. And we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co creating, contextualizing, and customizing programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, Blue Life UK, Ayala Group, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, Legato Healthcare, and Shell, to name a few. And the reason why we are doing this interviews and other interventions that we have been organizing is because we would like to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the next normal, those who find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a hybrid team, and those who are afraid that they can't keep their team or their business. So, to be able to stay relevant and continue to lead more effectively in any situation, join us in this interview. And today, it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader, Jayaraj Shanmugam. So I will call him Raj for this conversation to make it short. And he's an accomplished aviation business leader with over 30 years of experience in working and leading teams across multiple countries. He practices a people oriented leadership style and believes in team building to achieve organizational objectives. He has global working experience managing multicultural teams in the United States, Russia, India, Qatar, Switzerland, New Zealand, and Malaysia. Without so much further ado, I'd like to bring Raj. Hi, Raj.
Hi, Len. How are you? Good morning.
I'm really good, and thank you so much for taking
Mm,
time to have this conversation with me.
right.
Yes, and so
Mm,
let's get started so that our audience will get so much out of you. Actually,
okay.
before this session, we were actually chatting already, and so I said, let's stop. Maybe that we might forget to do live already because we are enjoying our conversation. And I get to know Raj through an introduction from Palani, but I saw on LinkedIn that we're also connected with Javed Malik.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. So to get started, please bring us through like a short journey to share with us your leadership experiences. If you have like your favorite influencers or leadership style that you'd like to share, please do so.
Well, Len, firstly, thank you for having me on your program. It's a privilege to be here and to share my thoughts and experiences on leadership. It's a favorite topic of mine. It's all
My
about people.
pleasure.
In fact, on LinkedIn, I write a lot about leadership, personal development, career growth. And a bit about myself, I was born in Singapore. I was
Mm-hmm.
born and bred in Singapore. My father was also born in Singapore, so I'm second generation. And I've been working overseas for the last 27 years.
Wow.
I'm currently based in India, in Bangalore, and India is the eighth country that I've been working in the last 25 years. So it's been quite a journey. It's quite a journey leading multicultural teams, working with people from across the world, and so it has been a very exciting journey so
Mm-hmm.
far. So if you're asking me about a bit about myself, in Singapore, I started my leadership journey as a army officer. In Singapore, as you know, every male citizen, once you're 18 years and above, you have to do compulsory military service. So when I went for military service when I was 18 years old back in 1982, my I was selected to those outstanding trainees were selected to join the officer cadet school. So I went through 9 months of officer training and became a second lieutenant. And once I finished that, they offered me a scholarship to study in the National University of Singapore for 4 years.
Wow.
They paid for my studies, paid for my 4 years there. But in return, I had to serve 6 years in the army. I was bonded for 6 years in the army. So I spent 6 years after my studies to work in the army. I became a captain in the army, and that's where I learned about leadership and leading people. And in school, I was a school prefect in school. I was a drum major in the military band in school. But the real experience of being a leader, of leading people younger than you,
Mhm.
came from the army. And I was 20 years old then. So at the age of 20, I started understanding leadership through trials and error. I learned to hone my leadership skills. And what is my leadership style is people oriented management. Back in 1980s, there's a lot of talk about people-oriented management. It's about how you build interpersonal relationships within organizations in order to improve productivity. So I took it upon myself that that is a style that works for me because it's my personality. My
Mhm.
personality itself is non-confrontational. I like working with people, so I adapted it as my personal management style and started working towards a people-oriented management style. And that has stuck with me over the years. Now, you asked me about my influences.
Mhm.
The three people I would like to call out today. All three of them are no longer with us. The first one, believe it or not, is a movie actor back in the 60s. He was popular
Oh.
in the 50s and 60s. And
Mhm.
I speak Tamil, so Indian language, I speak Tamil. And I used to watch a lot of Tamil movies when I was growing up,
Mhm.
Tamil language movies. And there's this actor by name of MGR, MG Ramachandran. He later became the chief minister of Tamil Nadu in 1977. Now,
Wow.
I grew up watching his movies, and he was a philanthropist. He was always came across somebody who's helping a downtrodden. He was always a hero, and he was my hero. Right? He talked about leadership. He talked about self-awareness. He talked about personal development. It's about believing in yourself. I was actually influenced by him and his movies and the songs in his movies, so much so that he became my role model for leadership. Right. So that's MG Ramachandran, and even today, I still watch his movies. I still listen to his songs to get inspiration. And he always plays a good guy in his movies, always, without fail, always plays a good guy in his movies. And let me quote something that he said when he became a politician. Somebody said, "You always play a good guy in the movies.
Mhm.
Is there any reason for it?" So let me just read out to you what he wrote, what he said then. He said, "Whatever I promise to my people, I try to implement to the best of my ability. People know I'm sincere and believe what I tell them. The moment they lose faith in me, MGR, the hero, becomes a zero."
Wow.
So this is
That's really
something that yes, has always stayed with me, and yeah, he's still my hero. So greatest influencer, and still influences me on leadership styles. Second person, Stephen Covey. Remember, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
yes. Mhm.
Like, I went for that course sometime in the mid 90s, and that really honed my entire habits and leadership style. And if I'm where I am today, I would, without being ashamed of it, say that it's all because of Stephen Covey, of
Mhm.
all the seven habits I learned from him. So that's Stephen Covey. The third person is my mother. She passed away at the age of 72 in 2008. Um, I'm very much like her. People who know me from my childhood, they said I'm very much like my mother. And she taught me on something very simple. She said, treat people the way that you would like to be treated. So if you want people to be nice to you, you have to be nice to them first. Then only people will be nice to you. So all these three of them influence my thinking, my management style, and they all rolled up into the people-oriented management style that I practice today and I still continue to practice.
Wow, thank you so much for bringing us through your journey on leadership. And again, like what you've mentioned, you started with learning leadership around the army, and I've been hearing a lot of comments around that, like how it is like how army leadership is a very good like way to train yourself, your children in on leadership, especially, right? It's about discipline. It's about people, at least that's what I understand from my perspective, right? And it's interesting that you've mentioned that one of your influencers is your mother, and that, that reminds us, as a parent, we actually play a huge role in influencing our children and in bringing up our children to be a leader themselves eventually, right? Or
Yes.
as early as possible. And again, no wonder you've mentioned that your orientation, or your favorite style is people oriented management, is because the influencers that you also have, the movie star that you've
Mhm.
mentioned, Stephen Covey, and also your mom, a lot of that is really very customer or people centric type of leadership. So I'm curious to know, having said that experience and that sharing of your style, of your experience, where you get started in leadership. So what is leadership for you?
See, for me, what is leadership? It's all about leading people. It's about leading by example. And like I mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, all business, no matter what industry you're in, at the end of the day, all business is people business.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, leadership is by leading by example, and it's about integrity and communicating your values in the way you conduct yourself. It is not about titles. It is not
Mm-hmm.
about grade. It's not about how much you're earning. It's about how you come across to others and how you transmit your values to your own actions. For me, that is leadership. That is why people-oriented management also links back to leadership. By example, is one of my favorite topics. That you are the best example of leadership. And simple example, right? You cannot tell your colleagues, your team members to come to work on time when you're always late, and people will never will
Listen
trust
to
you,
you.
right? That's the integrity.
Yes, thank you so much. And again, we've been hearing like several definitions of leadership. And again, it's really about like walking the talk, like what you've said,
Correct.
leading by example, leading with integrity. And it's all about communications, right? It's
Correct.
really how you actually like share it, or like communicate and listen as well at the same time to your team. And again, before I ask the next question, I would like to invite again those who are watching us, especially live, if they have any questions, aha moments, or anything that they would like to share with us, do join us in this conversation. It's not just me and Raj having this conversation, so join us. And I made mention in my earlier introduction about the next normal, and obviously like the industry where you are is like one of the like highly affected industry in during the pandemic, right? So how would you define or describe the next normal for you, having said that?
Okay, I think every industry went through a big seismic change during the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And aviation was no different. You must
Mm-hmm.
have read about how the industry itself suffered because people are no longer traveling and
Mm-hmm.
countries closed their borders. And many organizations try to pivot themselves, try to see how best they can use the downtime to make
Mm-hmm.
themselves stronger and more productive.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about new normal is that, and it's my personal view. A lot of things have been written about new normal. Academics have written about it. Um, Consultants have written about it, and they've written a lot of manual on how to cope with the new normal,
Mm-hmm.
right? But something I just want to share with my audience here, and also on this platform. New normal is nothing new. There's always a new normal in your life. There's
Exactly.
always something changing happening in your life, and you have to adapt. Firstly, look, my personal experience, and some of you all as well. From adulthood, you get married, and that becomes a new normal. How do you
Mm-hmm.
adapt to your new with your relationship with somebody else living under your same roof, right? And then when you became a father, that was a new normal, and so on.
True.
So every stage of my life, in my personal life, there was a new normal I had to adapt. So professional life or living in a corporate life, there's nothing new, because what you have to accept is that there will always be change in your life. Like they say, time and tide waits for no man or woman,
Mm-hmm.
and so tide will come and go as and when it needs to come. We just got to be adaptable, accept there'll be change, and, and accept that things will change. So this new normal or whatever we're going through post-pandemic and all that, yes, a lot of changes in terms of work habits, work
Mhm.
attitudes. What I find that people will now, going forward on a personal life, they will
Mhm.
take their life and mental health more seriously than before. The days
Mhm.
when everybody working 16 hours, 17 hours, and burning a midnight oil, I think is going to be over. What
Mhm.
a pandemic has taught us is that me time is important, my
Mhm.
family time is important, and frankly, if I don't like the job, I will just walk away and do something that really makes me happy. I see more of that happening.
Mhm.
But like I said, there's always be a new normal in your life.
Mhm.
And don't be comfortable. I always tell people, don't be comfortable with the comfort zone
Mhm.
because it will change before you even know it.
Very true. And I really love that you've shared like how a new normal is, is not even I don't know if there's a new normal at all, because when you say that new normal or next normal is all about change and pivoting, right? It's
Yeah,
a reality that we have to face in every journey in life that we go through. As you've mentioned, it's been like, it's something that we need to face um, always, right?
right.
And I really love that you highlighted about the mental health and taking care of your life or yourself. Having that balance, right, is really important for every one of us. And speaking of that mental health, we will be actually running something, a program, something on mental health, because I mean, it used to be like somehow a taboo, right? Like
Right.
not everyone would want to talk about it, and even up until now, when I make mention about
Mm,
mental health, right, in a conversation I have in meetings, they would like either laugh at it, or they would like made mention like, oh, you think I'm crazy, those kind of thing. But
correct.
that's actually like a different thing. Mental health is a daily thing that we face.
Correct.
In fact, it's about the stress, it's about the challenges that we face and how we can cope about it, right? I
Correct.
mean, like in this fast face world, right, we would always face challenges and stress, anxiety and all those stuff. And mental health is not really that you are, crazy, because our brains, our mind
Mm,
has been like, moving a lot, or thinking a lot, and
correct.
has going through a lot of things. And it's really like taking care of yourself, understanding, having that awareness, right? And knowing that, okay, how do I balance it, right?
You,
So
you know, since you're talking about mental health, the problem is, okay, like you said, if somebody said I got mental health problems or I'm depressed, they think you're crazy. Where did all
yes.
this come from? It's from our childhood, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually from our parents, right? Don't mix with that person; he's crazy. Um, or like my mother would say, why are you talking to him? He didn't get very good grades in class. So you think that somebody doesn't get good grades in class, so therefore you shouldn't mix with them. These are all childhood things, and things are, so we need to break out of that thinking,
True.
break out the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health affects everybody. When
True.
you're stressed out, it actually can lead to a mental breakdown.
True.
I remember, if I might share, in 2019, March, suddenly the airline that I was working for closed down. Suddenly, 2019. And after
Mm-hmm.
working continuously for 28 years, suddenly I was out of a job for 6 months.
Wow.
Just like that. I mean, it wasn't unexpected because I was still thinking of, I'll be 60 next year, so I'll retire, I'll do something, travel. Suddenly, at the age of say 57, so 56, the company stopped, and suddenly I was wondering what should I do? Sorry, I just dropped my. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. So, so suddenly, I was out of a job, and so I was wondering what should I do. And during that period, for the first time in my life, I
Mm-hmm.
felt mild depression. Not because I couldn't get a job and all that. Suddenly, I was unprepared. I was unprepared for sudden stop. It's like
Mm-hmm.
driving in a fast lane, and suddenly somebody pulls the handbrake in your life.
True.
Right? So somebody pull a handbrake and your car comes to a sudden stop. How do you restart the car? You've forgotten how to drive and restart the car because your car has been going all the way. Suddenly somebody pulls the handbrake. So you're wondering where the ignition switch, where the gear shift because the car has been on auto drive.
True.
So yeah, so and that itself, I had mild. Now if I look back at it, yeah, I think it was mild depression. Did I talk to anybody about it? I always spoke to my son and my wife, but I didn't speak to anybody else. Today, if you ask me to speak about it, I will speak about it because I see if I had opened up much better, I would have felt happier. So I
Yes.
encourage people, don't worry. Depression affects everyone. It's normal.
Mhm.
It's nothing to be afraid of. Speak to someone. Speak to a loved one. Professionals, if you need to. But open up and don't be shy. There's nothing to be
Yes.
shy about. Yeah.
True, true. And it's important that, every one of us gets prepared on how can we actually support others when,
Mm.
depression, stress is happening, if there's anxiety, right? Because that will really save a lot of lives when we know how can we support people who are going through difficulties in life, or like going through this depression, as you've mentioned, right?
Mm.
So it's really important for us to be equipped in every way to save lives as well an organization, because it's not just for leaders, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you'll never know when it happens and who's in beside that
Yeah.
person, right?
Correct.
So it's really about preparing everyone to like know how to recognize it, and how to go about it, how to support others to do so. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing as well your story. And again, those
Mm-hmm.
difficulties or depressions that we go through in life are the stories that we can share eventually, right?
Correct.
So before I ask you a question, I just wanted to, okay, see, there's comments, but I don't think this looks very spammy
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
about
is.
private dating. So
Okay.
okay, so I thought
Well,
these are
never
like
know. Somebody thinks that somebody on this chat probably once did, so fine. This is the new normal. This is the new normal. Right?
yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, there's three
Mm.
comments here, but it says like about dating.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
Okay,
this is
fine.
not
Yeah.
really appropriate for this conversation. But
No, no,
anyway,
it's not.
yeah. So I mean, from your experience as a corporate leader, you've been
Mm-hmm.
working some more in different countries in multicultural experience as well. And so what would you say would be the top three problems that leaders would normally face?
So depending on the industry and depending on the business that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
because you have your normal P&L problems, how to make money. Say every business about making money, right? More revenues and all that. So these are some challenges. But if you look at on a broader scale, on what exactly people they worry about, what do business leaders worry about,
Mm-hmm.
or rather they think about quite a bit. I think I can just categorize into many of them, but let me talk about three of them since it's a
Mm-hmm.
very short interview.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, is what change management. How do you change mindsets? Like I said, you mentioned a new normal. How do you get people to a new normal? But people hate changes. I'm telling you, the human mind hates anything that's they're not used to. And you and I not different either, right?
Exactly.
So we don't want change. We like routine. We like our habits. We like to keep into our comfort zone. So how do you change, especially the new business challenges, the new competition out in the market? How do you change people from the way of doing what they've always been doing? So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the challenges that all business leaders face. So you have to be very good in change management. Secondly, is stakeholder management. Now, stakeholder, you're talking about board members, you're talking about colleagues, you're talking about other stakeholders within the company or outside the company, the politics in your office, managing egos. How do you collaborate with others? So this is stakeholder management is one of the challenges because if you want to be successful as a leader, you must be able to manage stakeholders. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've been in corporate life for long enough to know the backstabbing, the politics, the things that people will do to, because very often people think that in order for them to succeed is to bring others down. In order for you to win is to make others lose. That's the mindset that I always been telling people, don't have that mindset. That's why Stephen Covey's win-win.
Mm-hmm.
How do you win and you make sure others win as well? So this is one of the challenges is how you manage stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, I think a lot of leaders also struggle with, and I think they should pay attention to, is how do you inspire others? How do you inspire others to do more than what they're willing to do? Who are willing to go further than what they're willing to go for? So these are three things I think is common among all leaders. All of us face the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Stakeholder management. It's about inspiring. others, and how do you manage change, and how do you manage people?
Yes, I really appreciate how you categorize it and how you have
Mm,
explained this to us. And it's interesting, right, that the first one you mentioned is on change management, and we've been talking about that from defining the new normal, the next normal, or whatever it is,
mhm,
and
mhm.
how change is actually like constant in our lives, and yet we resist it, right? And
Correct.
in fact, from start, from when we were born up to like whichever stage we are in our life, changes is happening like so many times, especially now that we are in like what we call, like, I don't know if is appropriate, it's post pandemic, or that because the pandemic is still here, right? And also, like, where like a lot of people are working on a hybrid setting,
Mhm,
which is like here to stay as well. And a lot of changes again has happened, especially in the last 2.5 3 years, right? And again, it's all about the next two things that you've mentioned around stakeholder management and inspiring others to do more, right? In the
yeah,
end, how are you able to also like communicate and inspire people to like adapt to that changes that are
correct.
happening within the organization? So I really love that. And of course, we will not leave them with all this problem.
Mhm, correct.
What would you say will be the important leadership capabilities and
Mm,
skills that you must have in these next normal, or whatever you want to call it, to continue to lead
mhm.
effectively?
In fact, I expected you to ask this question, so I actually took down a couple of notes so that I don't miss out telling you that six things that I would like leaders to pay attention to, and I would like them to know what they really need to do in order to stay on the top of their game. And these are things that I do all the time. Is
Mm-hmm.
firstly your personal effectiveness. Don't
Mm-hmm.
stop learning. Don't ever stop learning, keep pivoting, and keep improving yourself and learn new things. Because the moment you stop learning, you become ineffective. That's sharpen the saw. Habit number 7, Stephen
Mm-hmm.
Covey. Keep sharpening, keep learning new things, and always know that no matter what, how much you know, there's always someone who knows better. There's always
True.
somebody who knows more. So don't be afraid to ask people. One of the things I do, in fact, look, I worked in 9 companies, uh, worked with 14 teams and with 10 bosses
Wow.
across 8 countries. So what I can tell you is that I one of the things I always know that I don't have all the answers. No, in those days when I was executive, our managers always had all the answers because that was before Google and before internet, right? So we always look up to our bosses to ask questions, and they had all the answers, and they kept all the answers to themselves. But today's management is different. Sometimes your colleague who's joining for the first time as a fresh trainee probably knows more about say metaverse than you
Mm-hmm.
ever will.
Mm-hmm.
So do not be afraid to say I don't know. Please tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and I pivoted a couple of times. Like I spent about 20 years in the aviation industry. I got so tired of the aviation industry. I pivoted. I went to a telecoms industry for 3 years.
Oh.
So for 3 years, I was actually in telecoms. I was heading customer service in one of the telecoms companies, and it was new to me. I was absolutely clueless, right? About telecoms, I know. I mean, I knew a phone, I knew a SIM card, I knew how to pay a bill, but there's so much thing behind them, and I was willing to learn. Although I was your boss, but I was willing to go back as a trainee and learn about the business for 3 years. So don't be afraid to learn, and don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't know. Second
Mm-hmm.
one is that inspire others. Please learn how to inspire others, and you inspire others through your own behavior and through your own leadership examples.
Mm-hmm.
Your value. If you believe in integrity, if you say, "Look, guys, I believe in honesty. I believe in speaking the truth," so you jolly well speak the truth, and you make sure have your integrity at the highest level. The third one is developing employees. I spend a lot of time developing employees. I mentor, I coach. I find my role is first and foremost to coach and make others a better version of themselves. And why
Yes.
do I do it? Why do I spend so much time on LinkedIn writing articles and all that? Because I know that there are many people out there who cannot afford my time, who cannot afford me to mentor them. right? And I cannot do one-to-one coaching. I got no time for that. So I use this as a basis to help those who will not otherwise have a mentor like me.
Mm-hmm.
That is why it's my way of paying forward for what I've received. I'm paying forward because I never had a mentor like that who has actually helped me. So I want to help those people whom I think will have an advantage by listening to what I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Leading a team is a no-brainer. Leading a team is also important. I already mentioned you must know how to guide change. Don't force change down people's throat. Nobody likes it, and they will hate you for it. So know how to manage change. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, it's about managing stakeholders because you, as a leader, um, I tell this to my team, Len, that you cannot call yourself a leader.
Mm-hmm.
People call you a leader. The title of leader is bestowed upon you by others. So
Mm-hmm.
you must behave such a way that people say the guy is a true leader, the woman is a true leader, the lady is a true leader. That's what people must say. And and they only can come through the way you behave and carry out yourself. So these are the 6 points that I think leaders need to have going forward, and always something I always teach others.
Thank you. This is really a great summary of like what they need to know on leadership. I remember that conversation because I just came back from Malaysia, and
Mm,
I had this conversation with an executive director of a big company, and we were talking about like how like things has changed, how hybrid setting is here to stay, and like how people are gonna cope up on this hybrid setting, right? But then again, like what you mentioned, this summary, like don't stop learning, inspiring others, developing employees, and two two of those are actually around development or learning, right? Because that's how important it is, I would say, right? And you said also leading team, and again back to the problems that you've raised, it's really about
mm,
managing change and the
correct,
stakeholders that you work with, right? And so we were like having that conversation, despite that, not a lot of people would like confidently say that, oh, we know how to handle hybrid setting and all those stuff. But in the end, it's really like going back to principles, right? Going back
correct,
to the leadership, the things that you have shared just now, these 6 things to stay on top of the game, as you've mentioned, right? It's really going back to principles, and also like considering what actually works for you, because different operations, different company
correct,
cultures would have to also adapt on how what will work for your organization, right? It's really customizing a lot of these things. But again,
correct.
the most important thing is for them to continue to learn and improve
Mm-hmm,
while they are applying all those changes within the organization. And what I've also learned from change management, in a conversation I had with other change
mm-hmm,
practitioners here in Singapore, is that, yeah, it's because like most of the time the leaders do fail to communicate what's going
correct,
on and what is to expect, right? But when you are able to communicate that before you even implement it, then people are more or less like ready and have accepted like what is to change. It's really communicating why do we need to do this, right? And what improvement, what's in it for me when
correct.
we made these changes, right? I think that's just what the people need to hear as well before implementing any changes in the organization. And before I proceed to the next question, I would like to read this. And you mentioned about mentoring through LinkedIn as your how would I say this, as a way for you to communicate and to mentor more people. And here Darshan was saying, "Hello, sir. I'm Darshan, and I have been reading your LinkedIn posts regularly about leadership. You have been such a big inspiration and motivator for me. Thank you very much." So
Thank you, Darshan. Yeah.
thank you for sharing that with us, Darshan. And for those who are, again, it's again an invitation before we end this session to feel free to ask your question whether we get to answer it this live or
Mhm.
in a later time, feel free to share with us your comments, questions, and I'm sure Raj will be glad to also answer some of the questions even after this interview. So the next question is quite a handful, but it's basically, I guess, an invitation to summarize what we have
Mhm.
been discussing so far. So, what do you believe is the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in order to thrive to the next normal? You started your like we started the conversation. You mentioned earlier
Yeah.
how, like, most businesses are looking at the monetary or the profit money and
Correct.
all those stuff, but obviously these three things would have like a take around this space, right? So
You see, I think I covered earlier. It's all about learning and adapting to change because
Mhm,
don't remain static. Otherwise, the tide will just. But many people, what they do is even my leaders of my generation or some of my peers and all that, they've actually stood still.
mhm,
They have stood still, and what they have learned from during their experiences, they thought it still works, but the
mhm,
world is changing.
mhm,
Of course, you have the Gen Z, millennials, and whatnot. The people are changing, and very often, my I think I give you a little story on this. A couple of years ago, I was addressing some of duty managers, airline duty managers, and they were all in the company for about 20, 25 years.
mhm.
And then they were all complaining to me, Mr. Jayaraj, the new kids who are coming in, they're not like us. They don't really listen. They don't really come on time. They don't punch in, punch out properly. So they all were complaining and about the new kids, right, who
Generate.
just joined. So new generation, so to speak. So I asked them a very simple question. I said, look, um, when you and I were young, I said, even when I was younger, when my father asked me to jump, I just jumped. Today, if you
True.
tell your kids to jump, they will ask you, you jump first,
Hi.
right?
Yeah.
Today, your kids will say, you jump first and let me think about it whether I want to jump, right? I think the world has changed. The generation has changed. In fact, have you asked yourself how you were seen by your seniors 20 years ago when you joined? I
Mhm,
said, so every generation thinks that the other generation behind them is not like them or different. The answer is yes, they are not like you. So rather than moaning that they are not like you, so what do you do to adapt to make understand their world and adapt and change your leadership style to suit that the new world or new age thinking. So that's what
mhm,
I've been telling leaders, and that's what I've been doing. My leadership style, although it's people oriented management, okay, at the end it's all people. Whether you're a millennial or whether you're a Gen X or Boomer, you are still person. So the people oriented management style doesn't change. People are people. People are emotional. People have likes, dislikes. They are motivated. In fact, I told you I work across cultures. Len, then one thing I realized is that people are the same wherever you go. Paul McCartney, Stevie Wonder, right? People are the same wherever you go, ebony and ivory. So that's something I realized. No matter your color of your skin, your passport, your language you speak, people are the same wherever you go. Right? They same motivators, same fears, same aspirations. So something I've always tell people: don't ever think because they're not like you, so therefore they are different. No, they're different. Accept that they're different. How do you adapt and how do you make them follow you? So that's what I always tell leaders:
mhm.
continue adapting, to the people who are working for you, and see things from their point of view. So and that is something that we always must remember. That's something I always speak to my team members. Don't put down others because they're different from you, right? Very often. So
Exactly.
always remember that. Yeah.
And
I think there's a question.
nowadays,
Mm, mm,
yeah, yeah, thank you so much for answering it beautifully for me. And again, it's a reminder for everyone um to to realize that you're working with human. And I guess, like, I've heard this or I've read this somewhere where, like, human has not really changed, which what you've also mentioned, human has not changed for the last, I don't know, so many years, right? And that's for real. I mean, and so that's why it's not really about, like, looking into a differences or the differences, but leveraging on the differences, in fact, that
correct.
we have, because with every different perspective, you can actually get the best ideas out of it, right?
Correct.
And the more perspective, the more diverse, we've been hearing about D&I as well, right? And that's part of, even if you're not working with a multicultural, type of environment or organization, but you will always work with people of different
Correct.
generations, of different
Mm.
perspective, of different personalities. It's really
Mm.
how you are adapting or adjusting to these
Correct. Yeah.
differences, and how you are leveraging on these differences that you come to face within the organization, or even outside of your organization. So I really appreciate that reminder of,
Just
we are
one more thing, Len. Len, I've had bosses or even colleagues telling others, it's my way or the highway. I'm sorry, my friend, that the whole adage has been thrown out the window. There's no such
true.
thing. If you tell these kids today, they'll walk out. And who
Exactly.
are you going to lead when nobody follows you? Right? You can call yourself a leader. Who are you leading when nobody wants to follow you? So that's why I tell
True.
people. So this thing about
Exactly.
the my way or the highway is my father's days. It's over. Today is all about what is the best way. Let's
True.
go together and find the best way. So my way or the
Yeah.
highway is gone.
Thank you for that reminder. And I just wanted to share, Pranil, hello, sir, Pranil, this side, as you talk about your LinkedIn post, it helps a lot to all the newbies and me. It gives understanding of how corporate environment is, and how the management thinks about people in the company. My small curiosity is, what, as per you, could be the best do's and don'ts, uh, i- do's and don'ts, for the ones who have just started their journey in the industry and are exploring themselves to build as a better management personnel. So this is a question,
Okay.
actually.
Thanks, Pranil. Okay, if you've been following my most of my posts are actually meant for people like you, new guys, new ladies, newbies coming into the workforce. My first career was a complete disaster. Okay, I'm not shy to say this. My first job was a complete disaster because I did not have somebody telling me the do's and don'ts. I did not, because see what happens is that, Pranil, for the longest time, when you're born, we are growing up. Our parents tell us what to do, and then we go to school. Our teacher tells us what to do, and then we go to work, and suddenly the boss tells you what to do, but boss doesn't guide you anymore. Teachers guide you, your parents guide you, but suddenly the boss says go and do it, and they don't guide you, they don't tell you what to do. And many of us, and I know I have struggled. I was struggling, and many people I know still struggle, especially young executives. They struggle because nobody tells them the do's and don'ts, the corporate truth that out there. That is why my post is meant to tell you what are the do's and don'ts. To like the first 3, 4, because sometimes first 3, 4 years of your career, if you mess it up,
Mm-hmm.
you'll struggle to catch up. I've seen people struggling like that. So what I do is that, so you just follow my post, and I'll tell you how you manage your first few years of your career. But if you want some do's and don'ts, just want to tell you this. One word advice for you is that don't compare yourself to others. The moment you compare to others, you'll be upset, you'll not be happy, and you find yourself running a race that you know you cannot win. It is not a race. Everybody is running their own race, and everybody is running their own at their own pace. So run at your own pace, run your own race, and find out what you're good at, and you keep leveraging on it. Try to show what you're good at. Don't look at left and right of your race, because people always remember there'll be people better than you. So don't envy those who are ahead of you. If it's a race, don't envy those who are ahead of you. Don't mock those who are below you. Those are behind you, don't mock them. Those ahead of you, don't envy them. So run your own race. Find out what you're good at, what your strength, and keep leveraging on that strength. Very many of us want to improve. I want to improve. I want to be better at that. Sometimes you just cannot improve. Something I've learned. I'm saying that sometimes you just cannot improve. There's something I realized that I'm trying to improve something, but I know that's not my strength. Why am I trying to improve something I'm not good at? But my success, Pranil, if anything is not even know for me, my personal success, career success, is about leveraging on my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I know my weakness. I know I got a lot of weakness, but I never worried about my weakness, how to improve my weakness. Instead, I leverage on my strengths. I went from strength to strength and kept leveraging on my strength. So first, understand what your strength is and keep leveraging on it. Don't waste your time trying to improve weakness. Sometimes you find that you hit a wall sometimes in your life. So know what your strength is, keep strengthening it so that you are known for that thing. I know what I'm known for. My personal brand, I know what is it. So you focus on what you're good at, keep being good at it, and keep strengthening that strength of yours. And like I said, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn and send me a direct message. I can always coach you and direct you from there. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
That's really a great answer to Pranil's question. And again, I am summarizing it below. And that's also like kind of usual for most human, right? For us to compare ourselves to others, and which is not really a good way to go, right? Because we are in our own journey, we have our own strengths, we have our own weaknesses, we have our own stories to tell to
Mhm.
others. And so it's really like what you've said, it's all about leveraging on your strength and running your own race. I really love that message. Thank you so much for that. And that leads me to my last two questions, Raj. These are very open questions, so I'm curious to know how will you answer, or how did you come up with all these with the answers for these
Yeah.
two questions. So the first one, I will normally call this like a Miss Universe question. So in this case,
Mhm.
it's a Mr.
Yeah.
Universe question.
Okay.
If you, if you have a magic wand and can use
Hmm.
it, what will you do with it?
Okay. Wow. I've not heard that question since school days. You know, it's similar to teacher asking you what would you like to be when you grow up, right? Uh, well, I've not really thought about it, but if you ask me about my thinking, I'm very concerned about poverty.
Mm-hmm,
I'm very concerned about people living in poverty or people trying to make a day-to-day living. If
mm-hmm,
I had a magic wand, I will eliminate poverty from the earth.
mm-hmm,
Everyone must have basic their basic needs met. I will
mm-hmm.
probably want to do that. That is why I spend a lot of time teaching and coaching others because I believe education is a great leveler. I
True.
believe if everybody's educated, they can actually grow up to become a better version of themselves. So that is what I will. I've been focusing on. I'm doing my part as a leader to teach others so that they learn and they become a better version of themselves.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And frankly, I think education at the end of the day will eliminate poverty
mm-hmm,
more than anything else. When everybody knows how to um, get out of the poverty line.
mm-hmm,
Um, so I'm doing my part, right? I'm doing my part just to do that. But of course, if I really had a van, like you say, as a fantasy, I
mm-hmm.
will eliminate poverty from the earth.
Thank you so much. And I really hope that you have a magic wand. But again, even
Mm,
without that, as you've mentioned on how you focus on teaching others to make them a better version, and again, when we are on our better version, we create more, we can create better
correct.
things, and we can actually like also like influence others and help others along the way, right?
Yep.
So Pranil is saying thank you so much, and that means a
Welcome,
lot
Anil.
to him.
Yeah.
So, and also the invitation that you have shared with him to like direct message you for any
Mm,
questions.
yeah.
So thank you so much for that. And again, the work that you do as a leader and in your
Hmm.
own way will really count. You know, we have like our own strengths that we can make use of to address each and every problems or challenges that is where that we have or that we face in this world. So it's really about making a difference through the work that we do, right? And so the
Yep.
last question is, if you
Hmm.
were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And because you can best answer it,
Mm,
please do answer it for us as well.
correct. I think if such a question, I probably ask, what Jayaraj, what are you grateful for?
Mm-hmm,
And that's a question I ask myself. I'll be 60 years old next year. As I look back at my life, I'm
mm-hmm,
grateful for all the things I've been given. Um, yes, I worked for them, but I still do given the opportunities to work for them. I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've got. I'm grateful to a very loving wife and son, a loving family backing me up. Um, the thing is, I wouldn't be where I am without a very supportive family. My son and my wife, they're very supportive. So I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for all the opportunities, all my colleagues, my family, and people around me who are giving me the life that I'm living now.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm grateful for. And I'm grateful for my fitness and health because at the age of current, I'm still very fit. I still run 10 kilometers every week.
Wow.
I keep it within 1 hour. So I run 10 kilometers within 58, 59 minutes every Saturday morning without fail. I exercise 5 days a week. So I'm grateful for my fitness and my health.
Wow, thank you so much for answering that question for us. And I'm not surprised with this question. And also, I love to invite our audience as well to, to think about what you are grateful for, right? Because sometimes
Right.
we look into a lot of the problems and challenges that we face that we forget to be thankful for what we have, for
Mm,
who we are, for who we have around us, right? So thank you for reminding us to be
right.
grateful, Raj. And I just want to share Muhammad Ali's comment. Well done, Marilyn. As usual, you are creating impact in society. I guess you already got a magic wand. Keep up the good work.
Congratulations,
So
Maryland.
Ali, for recognizing that. I really appreciate that. I mean, that
Hmm.
keeps me going. And I really hope, I mean, that's the purpose of all these interviews, right? For me to be able to share and leverage with
Hmm.
someone else's stories, journey, and answers to the questions I have, right? So thank you so much, Raj, for taking time to have this conversation with me. I really appreciate all the insights.
Hmm.
Very inspiring, very motivating, and very people centric, I would say,
Right.
conversations that we have. So, before we end this conversation, is there anything more that you'd like to leave our audience
Well,
with?
well, thank you, Len. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts. Rarely I come on camera. I prefer to write rather than doing videos. A lot of people ask me, Jayaraj, can you do podcasts? Can you do short videos on LinkedIn? Um, Firstly, I'm very conscious about video. I'm very conscious about the way I speak or express, but I write very well. So I'm leveraging on my strength. I write very, very well, right? But if I want to leave a key thought with leaders out there, always remember leaders, all leaders, leadership is a privilege. Not everybody gets a chance to be a leader.
Mhm.
Leadership is a privilege that's been given to you to make a difference in the life of others. Use it wisely.
Wow.
Use your leadership opportunity wisely and make a difference because at the end of the day, what you leave behind is a legacy of how you treated people. People remember you for how you treated them, not for who you are and whether you're a chief operating officer or chief executive officer of a company. They will remember you for how you treated them. So just remember that. And I wish you all the best in your leadership journey.
Wow, that's really a beautiful message. Thank you so much for all these insights and all these nuggets that you have shared with us today. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did.
Mhm.
And yeah, thank you so much for this
Okay.
very insightful and inspiring message. And again, it's an invitation for everyone to continue to learn. And as you know, even the best or the richest investor in this world would say that,
Mhm.
investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your
Yeah.
life. And so let's, like, educate each other, help each other to make to create more opportunities to make this world a better place to live in, right? Because we can. So with
Yes.
that, we would like to leave everyone with this quote that if your actions create a legacy, like what you mentioned, Raj,
Mhm.
legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then
Yeah.
you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much, Raj. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
those
much.
who joined
Have a
us.
happy day.
Yeah, have a good day,
Bye bye.
everyone, and stay
Thank you.
safe. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.